Good morning, welcome back to my channel. For today's stencil and a stamp video, I am going to use the Upstream Slimline Stencil by Brutus Monroe. I already have it ready with my cardstock. I'm going to use some Simon Hurley Creates ink and Bee Sting, Slippery When Wet, and Overzealous. I have my panel cut down to, it's actually 8 by 3.5. These are 8.5, but I had already cut it down, which is fine because I want the white border. And this is just some 80-pound cardstock. And then I'm going to use some blending brushes to create my background. So to start, I'm going to use my, if you've not tried the Simon Hurley inks, you should get some because they're awesome. They blend very well. They have, they're water reactive. But I've been playing with them a lot the last couple of weeks, and they're been my go-to inks for the most part right now, especially for ink blending. I'm going to start, which I always do, with my yellow. I always try to start with my lightest color. I do have some pixie spray down on my stencil here. It's from the last time I used my stencil, but I also did attach it with a little bit of purple tape as well, just to hold the side since it's a little smaller. One thing I like to be able to do is move my stencils around. If I'm using a 6x6 stencil, I like to be able to move it around and get all the different areas with my different colors. So, all right, there's my my Slippery When Wet, I think, correct? Still learning the names. Yes, Slippery When Wet. So I'll do some Overzealous over here. Oh, there's a little piece of glitter stuck right there on my fish. Oh, he's underneath now. At least I can get my stencil covered. There won't be a little white mark on that stencil. I'm going to overlap just a little. You do need to be careful when choosing colors to make sure they don't create mud. I am not the biggest color family person, but I do know that blue and yellow make green, so I don't ever mind mixing yellow and green or blue and green. Same thing like with orange. Orange and yellow make red, or red and yellow make orange, so I don't ever mind mixing orange and yellow. And I always make red and blue, but sometimes you just have to experiment and see what they look like. You know, sometimes you have the extra color on your stencil and you need to wipe off your stencil before switching to a new color because it will pick up all this color here and go onto your card. All right, and so last I'm going to use Bee Sting here. I have really like the slimline stencils. I've made several cards of some of the others. This is one of the newer slimline stencils. There's 6 available at Brutus Monroe right now. 6, I believe. There might be 7, but I know there's 6. I have 6 of them, which is this this Upstream. I have Devereaux. I have Mercedes again. Yes. And then I have the other first 3, which is I did a video on not too long ago, I thought, but I can show you all the slimline stencils. All right, so there's my blending. I'm going to cover up my ink pads here quick. Sorry if there's any bright shine. All right. So you can come back if you want. Sometimes it's helpful if you can just wipe off your stencil. I just wipe it off with a clean cloth. Sometimes I go in and you can see I have some leftover glue on my stencil. I need to clean this one off. I'll take it to the sink later. So let's take off our purple tape. And I like to reuse my purple tape. I just stick it over on the side of my glass media mat. And when it doesn't stick over there anymore, it starts rolling up. I know it's done. So, you know, the last thing I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do just a little bit of shimmer because fish are shimmery, correct? So we're going to use this. I like the frost. That's the one I'm going to use first. I use this sheer shimmer craft spray from Imagine. I really like it. I'm almost out of this one. I believe I have another bottle somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. So just going to spritz it on. And actually, maybe I will use a little bit of the sparkle as well. Just wipe off my stencil, pull up any extra. I'll clean my stencil really good afterwards. We'll pull that off. I love using shimmer with, I don't know if you can see that, but now my fish are all shimmery. Now, if you didn't necessarily like the white on the background, you could go through and lightly ink blend with whatever ink's left over. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to leave my nice and bright white because the shimmer spritz is white. However, I might, you know what I actually will do is I'm going to come in on the sides just a little bit, just to give it a little, my mat is a little wet here with my stencil. So I don't need to pick up any other ink. I'm just going to use what's left on my brush. Just come in and I'm going to do it with all three colors. Just give it a little bit on the corners because when I put it on my card base is going to be white. Okay, so I just have this little bit. So I'm going to grab my Misty here. And I love, this is the original Misty. Let's slip this down this way, I think. It's not so shiny in your face. And I'll put and the sentiment I chose is from a Brutus Monroe set called Conservatory of Quotes. This is what it looks like. And the quote says, "Difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations." So I'm just going to stick that down here in the corner. Now, because I used a little bit of the shimmer, it may not, it may take a little bit of extra ink to push that down on top of the fish that have the shimmer on it. So my brushes here, I'm going to ink up with my Raven Detail ink. It's one of my favorite black inks, especially for detail things like this. I may need to stamp it a couple times. I've not used this stamp before. And I like to just use my finger to press it down so I don't press in too much. I also need to re-ink this ink pad because I found I left it open, partially open one night. So it dried a little bit, but I'll re-ink it another day. I'll just stamp it a few times. Let's see, one more I think, just to be safe. Just going to make a very simple, basically a one-layer card this time. I store my Misty magnets up on the handles of my desk. I have a scrap desk if you haven't seen my videos before. Give me just a second. I need to wipe my fingers off. I have a little bit of ink on them, so I'm just going to spritz some water and rub them on one of my towels before I get my fingers all inky. Get it on my card. So I pre-scored card bases from 110-pound cardstock. It measures 8.5 by 4. So I cut my cardstock down to 8 inches and then just left it, you know, the short wise. And then I scored it at 4 inches. And then I'm just going to put the card on right here and just, like I said, a very simple basic card. And because because there's nothing else on this card, I don't think I'm going to use any bling, anything. Just leave it just plain. And open my card base up so it's easier to eyeball here. See, adding that little bit of color around the corners makes just a little bit so it pops. All right, my bone folder has seemed to disappear just when I need it. There it is. Score that down one more time, and there we go. Very simple card. Done just easy. There's just a little bit of spritz around the outside. It's just, I love it. I think it's perfect. And it fits into a number 10 business envelope, or you can also buy, let me see, I might have cut this a little too big. I also fit these into, yeah, this one's just a little big, so I do need a business envelope. Which I have some of those. That's a number 9 card. I don't know where I put my business envelopes right now, so I had a couple on my desk, but I'm gonna dig for them right now. So I hope you enjoy. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want, leave me a comment if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me.